Welcome to the Derby and Nottingham Sling Library demonstration for a ring sling in a central position carry. So it is a gathered shoulder. There are three main types of shoulder for ring slings. There is a gathered shoulder, where the fabric is just through the rings and then sewn and it just gathers round. There is a pleated shoulder where the fabric is through the rings and then it is sewn into specific pleats. And then there is a padded shoulder where it goes through the rings. There is a section of padding, and then it flares out into the rest of the ring sling. The two most common types are the gathered and pleated. So I will first show you popping a ring sling on and then how to get little one into it in a central position. So here we have a Girasol ring sling. As you can see, there are two rings and it's just sewn and gathered around. The tail of the fabric goes through both rings and then back through the lower ring, which then completes a secured locking position. So it's not going anywhere once little one is in and secure. We're going to start by putting the ring sling on, and it's going to go diagonally across our body, and it doesn't matter with most ring slings which shoulder they go on. So I'm going to go diagonally across, put my arm and head through. So I've gone across. What I'm doing now is just checking that everything is smooth and flat to my body across the back. And that the two rails, the top and bottom rails, are where they should be at the top and the bottom. And nothing's twisted. We're aiming to get a nice coverage over our shoulder and keep it off our neck. We're also aiming for the rings to sit in a corsage position. So they're sitting up just a little bit below your collarbone in a position there. So we're aiming for there to be enough room to pop little one in so that we sit their legs over, their legs in, and their bum then sits over the fabric. At the moment, this is a little bit low for the size of little baby I will be using. So to generally tighten everything, grab all the fabric the other side of the rings and pull down in the direction the fabric comes through the rings, which, as you can see, has tightened and lifted that up a little bit. We're also going to want to check that the rails on the fabric are on the outside edges of the rings. This helps later on when we come to tighten everything up. We are now going to collect little one and pop them in. I'm taking little one and putting them up over my uncovered shoulder. I'm then reaching through underneath the fabric and going to collect both of their legs. We're then going to sit that fabric into the back of their knees to create that M position. Just going to check that they've got access to their hands, that they're not getting trapped further down. And then we're going to take this top rail of fabric, the piece that's just underneath their arm, and we're going to feed it out from underneath their bum, pull it up, so it starts to smooth out nicely over their back. And then we're going to continue keeping our hand underneath their bum to act as a brake to stop all the fabric just coming up. The height that we're going to take this top rail to depends on the age of little one. Newborns, we're going to want to pull it up above the top of their head and let it drop back down. If they've got consistent head control, we're going to aim to pull it across the nape of their neck to support the top of their shoulders. If they are a toddler and they've got consistent head control and they're sitting unaided and they want to have their arms out, we can pop it just underneath their arms. It sits into their armpit height. For this little baby, I'm going for the top of their head because they're newborn sized. So I'm continuing to pull up so it reaches the top of their head and then let this top rail drop back down slightly. So again, it sits into the nape of their neck across their shoulders. We're now going to look to tighten. We'll start with the bottom rail, which is the one which will be furthest away from us. We pull down in the direction that fabric is coming through the sling. We can then move to this top rail where we go a couple of inches in and start to pull tight. What really helps when you are learning with a ring sling is stripes, because you can work out where you have slack within your sling and then you can tighten accordingly through the other side. So a little bit more on this top rail. We're not aiming to really pull it tight around their head. We're aiming for it to be tight across their shoulders and then to be a little bit loose on this right on the top rail, on the top inch or so. So we're aiming for sort of this purpley, mid-purple to be the tight piece. So we can find that and we can feed that through. Just going to now work through the rest of the sling and tighten up through the fabric, just grabbing every couple of inches. And so we've got a nice tight sling all the way across little one's back. What we can do now is we can do that tilt and check that everything sits into the back of their knees. Okay. We can then do the 3 sets of checks. We can do baby safety checks, baby comfort checks, our comfort checks. So baby safety checks, I've got 2 fingers between the chin and their chest to keep their airway open. We're also going to check that there's no fabric covering over their face. Their comfort checks, we're going to check they've got access to their hands on both sides and they're not stuck down by their legs. We're then going to check all the fabric is smooth over their spine and all the spare fabric is into the back of their knees and their lower legs are out and free to move. We can then move on to our comfort. We can check that this fabric is spread nicely over our shoulders, which helps keep it away from our neck, and that the fabric is spread diagonally across our backs. We can do a variety of things with the remainder of this tail. We can tuck it around the rings to give them a little bit of a head cushion there to help protect them if they do fall asleep that way onto the rings. If it's cold outside or slightly cooler, we can tuck this top rail back into this top section by their neck, and it gives them a second layer of fabric loosely over them, which helps keep them a little bit warmer if it's cold. What we can also do is take all of this tail, loop it and twist it together so it's a tight roped piece of fabric, and we're going to tuck it in to this top rail, which creates a neck cushion and a little bit of a pillow across for them. And we can tuck that as far around as we want. There we are. This is a central carry position, more suited for newborns and littler babies. To take them out, I'm going to remove anything we've done with this tail piece of fabric. We're going to put one hand on them to support, and then with our other hand we're going to reach into the rings, move closer in, and we're going to put one or two fingers under this first rail, or this first ring that we can see, lift it up, and that loosens off the fabric. With that loose, we can drop the fabric down, back under their bum. We can put one hand on their bum, one hand on their back, and forward, and lift them up and out. We can now pop them. We can now take the ring sling off carefully by taking our arm through, and this will be roughly set for next time. So when you pop them in next time, all you need to do is do that little check to check that you've got the right position, and then you can pop them back in and tighten up accordingly. This was a Derby and Nottingham Sling Library demonstration of a ring sling in a central carry position. Thank you.